Welcome to English Biography, where history meets inspiration. Today we journey back to ancient Athens to explore the powerful life story of Socrates, the man who changed philosophy forever. He never wrote a book. He never opened a school. Yet his ideas continue to shape the way we think, question, and understand the world. From his humble beginnings to his dramatic trial and death, Socrates remains a timeless symbol of wisdom, courage, and the search for truth. Stay with us as we dive into the life of one of the greatest thinkers of all time. Socrates, one of the most influential figures in Western philosophy, was born in Athens, Greece, around 470 BCE. He lived during a time of remarkable intellectual and political activity in Athens, a period often regarded as the height of Athenian democracy and culture. Though he left behind no written records of his own, Socrates profoundly shaped the course of philosophical thought, largely through the accounts of his students, especially Plato. Socrates was born to a modest family. His father, Sophroniskos, was a stonemason or sculptor, and his mother, Phanerete, was a midwife. He likely received a basic education in literature, music, and gymnastics, as was common for Athenian boys. Early in life, Socrates may have worked in his father's trade. However, his path soon diverged from manual labor to a life of intellectual exploration and questioning. Socrates served as a hoplite, or heavily armed infantryman, in the Athenian military. He participated in several campaigns, including the battles of Potidaea, Delium, and Amphipolis. His bravery and endurance in the field were well noted, and even Plato later described him as fearless and composed in times of danger. Yet Socrates' legacy would not be built on physical courage, but rather on the battlefield of ideas. In a society teeming with sophists, teachers who charged fees to teach rhetoric and argument, Socrates stood out as a unique figure. He did not claim to teach knowledge, nor did he accept payment. Instead, he wandered the streets and marketplaces of Athens, engaging in public dialogues. His method of inquiry, later known as the Socratic Method, involved asking probing questions to expose contradictions in his interlocutor's beliefs, thereby encouraging critical thinking and self-reflection. Socrates believed that the unexamined life was not worth living. He held that true knowledge came not from acquiring facts, but from understanding oneself and seeking moral truth. According to him, wisdom began with the recognition of one's own ignorance. He famously claimed, "I know that I know nothing," which became a hallmark of his philosophical humility. Though Socrates attracted a loyal circle of students, including Plato, Xenophon, and Alcibiades, he also made enemies. His relentless questioning often embarrassed powerful figures in Athens. Moreover, his association with controversial individuals such as Alcibiades and Critias, both of whom were involved in anti-democratic actions, tainted his public image. This, combined with a general suspicion toward intellectuals during a time of political unrest, led to his downfall. In 399 BCE, Socrates was brought to trial on charges of corrupting the youth and impiety, specifically of introducing new gods and failing to acknowledge the official gods of the city. The trial was a highly public event. Despite his sharp wit and eloquence, Socrates refused to pander to the jury or show remorse. Instead, he used the trial as a platform to defend his life's work and mission. He argued that he was a gadfly sent by the gods to stir the conscience of Athens. Ultimately, the jury found him guilty. Offered the opportunity to propose his own punishment, Socrates sarcastically suggested that he should be rewarded with free meals for life. When he finally suggested a fine, his friends offered to pay. It was too late. The jury sentenced him to death by drinking a cup of hemlock, a poisonous plant. Socrates spent his final days in prison, where he continued to converse with his followers about the soul, virtue, and the afterlife. Plato's dialogue Phaedo recounts his last moments, in which Socrates calmly drank the poison and died surrounded by friends, unwavering in his commitment to reason and virtue. Despite his execution, Socrates' legacy endured through the writings of Plato and Xenophon. Plato, in particular, used Socrates as the central character in many of his philosophical dialogues, thereby immortalizing his teacher's method and message. Through these texts, Socratic thought became the foundation for Western philosophy. His method influenced countless thinkers, from Aristotle to Descartes, from Enlightenment philosophers to modern educators. Socrates taught that the soul was more important than the body, that virtue was the highest good, and that knowledge and virtue were interconnected. He introduced the idea that ethics and morality should be grounded in reason rather than tradition or authority. These ideas laid the groundwork for centuries of philosophical inquiry into ethics, politics, and the nature of knowledge itself. His death marked a turning point in Athenian history and raised enduring questions about the relationship between the individual and the state, the freedom of speech, and the role of intellectuals in society. To this day, Socrates remains a symbol of intellectual integrity, moral courage, and the relentless pursuit of truth. Though he never wrote a single book or opened a school, Socrates' life and teachings revolutionized human thought. He changed philosophy from a speculative inquiry about the cosmos into a disciplined examination of human life. His method of dialogue continues to be used in classrooms, courts, and conversations across the world. In the end, Socrates' greatest legacy was not a doctrine or a system, but a way of life. His unwavering commitment to truth and virtue, no matter the personal cost, continues to inspire generations. In questioning everything, Socrates taught us the value of thinking deeply, living authentically, and never settling for easy answers. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life of Socrates, a philosopher whose words still echo through history. Though he walked the streets of Athens over 2,000 years ago, his message is more relevant than ever. Ask questions, seek truth, and live a life of virtue. Socrates taught us that real wisdom begins with knowing that we know nothing, and from that humble place, we grow. If you enjoyed this biography, please like, share, and subscribe to English Biography for more inspiring life stories that educate, enlighten, and empower.